Salam alaikum, good evening, and welcome to the Property Wise Property Show. I'm your host, Kieron Bateman, and I'm here with Shaz Nawaz, calling in from way across the water. How are you, Shaz?
I'm good, thank you, Kieron. How are you?
I am fantastic. It is great to hear from you. And if you want us to hear from you at home too, you can get in touch with us. You can call the studio on 01733 602 133. You can text us on 07411 191 062. Or you can get in touch by any of our live streams. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And I think that's all my public service announcements done.
You've done well.
I know, right? I've been practicing.
Yeah, I'm impressed. It shows.
But yeah, welcome to the Property Wise Show. On this show, we talk all things property and all things mindset to do with property and how we get along through all these things. Anything that we do say is just for the purposes of this show. It's not considered any investment advice or anything like that, as we are not regulated financial advisors. So if you do wish to discuss that, anything that we talk about any further, go and see someone who is well versed and regulated. And I think that's everything.
It is for now.
For now. How have you been, Shaz? How have you been?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm a little bit tired, but other than that, no complaints.
Good. Tired means you're working hard.
Well, yes, it was a busy weekend.
Every weekend is busy, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
For you?
Most weekends are, yes. This is very, very true. I need to learn to stop at some point. Well,
One day.
So, what are we talking about this week?
We can talk about whatever you want, whatever our listeners, viewers want. I'm here at your disposal, my friend, at your mercy.
Well, if anyone has anything at home that they want us to discuss to do with property and mindset, then feel free to get in touch. Otherwise, I thought this week we should talk about, at some point, we spend a lot of time talking about what you should do, what you should do, how it works, how it goes when everything's going well, and on our mindset side, we talk about positivity and how to develop your mindset in a positive manner so that you're looking for the good in things, so on and so forth. But this week, I thought we would discuss what not to do in property investment, because I think sometimes that's just as important as what you should do,
if not more important.
Yes, yeah, because you can find. I mean, a short internet search will show you what you should be doing. But people generally don't talk about their mistakes. They don't like to talk about the things that go wrong, or it's all sunshines and rainbows all the time.
It is until you get to the real world.
Yes. How are your sunshines and rainbows, Shaz?
Well, right now, physically, it's raining, and you can probably hear thunder in the background. I'm not sure if you can, if you can't, but yeah, it is wet. But generally speaking, good.
Excellent. Good. Glad to hear it. So, if we're going to go into property, I mean, depending on what strategies you choose, but there's always, a degree of refurbishment that goes on, and regardless of what strategy, if you're flipping, you've got to do a bit of refurbishment. If you're BRRRing, probably you've got to do some refurbishment. If you're turning a property into HMO, there's definitely some more refurbs going on. If you're doing a commercial conversion, there's a lot of, clue is in the name, conversions going on, and so on and so forth. So there are, there's work to do on a property, almost virtually regardless of the strategy you pick. And it's not always easy to figure out what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, what you can do, what you can't do, and how much it's going to cost, how much should it cost, and whether or not you're getting a good deal. Because you don't always get a good deal, do you, Shaz?
No, and that's my first real tip for tonight, Kieron, which is everybody tends to, and when I say everybody, I'm generalizing obviously because you can't speak for every single person in the world of property or in any particular sector, field, industry. But people tend to look for something which is cheap or a really good deal. And I always say, don't look for cheap, look for something which is good. Because in the era of looking for cheap, you sometimes end up missing a deal because you offer, let's say, £5,000 less, for example, and somebody else offers 5,000 more and gets the deal. Or looking for something really cheap and you end up buying something really bad. You can probably hear the really bad thunder in the background, by the way, if you can excuse me. But I can't control the temperature and the weather, I'm afraid.
You're not that good just yet.
Just yet. Give it one day. We'll keep trying. And sometimes you try really hard to find something cheap, and you find something cheap, and what you realize is cheap doesn't equal good. Which means you end up buying something which you can't add value to. It doesn't increase in value as much, because if you buy something which costs you a lot of money, which generally means there's more competition, more demand for it, which again generally means if there's more demand for it today, they'll probably, with all things being equal and nothing changing, there'll be demand for it in 5, 10, 15 years' time, unless obviously the government builds an airport next to it or something else, which destroys the value. But generally speaking, there'll be more demand for it. So don't try your damnedest to find something cheap, because cheap doesn't always equal good.
Well, I mean, there are two things that I was always taught about cheap and being cheap and buying cheap, and I'm sure this is something everyone's heard: buy cheap, buy twice.
Exactly.
And the other one is, you've got a choice of three things generally in life. You can have it cheap, but if you have it cheap, it's not necessarily going to be good. You can have it cheap and you can have it fast, but then it won't be good. You can have it fast and you can have it good, but it won't be cheap.
Exactly. And there's a quote from a guy called John Ruskin, and I'm going to get into trouble next time. I'm going to embarrass myself because I'll probably get the quote wrong. But he said, it's unwise to pay too much, but it's worse to pay too little. Because when you pay too much, you lose a little. When you pay too little, you lose the whole lot. Because the thing you bought is incapable of doing the thing you bought it to do.
Yes.
If that makes sense, Kieron?
Yeah.
So I hope I've kind of got that right. So paying a bit over the odds doesn't matter, because as long as it serves the purpose. For something, you try and buy something too cheap and you soon realize it doesn't serve the purpose and you've lost the whole lot, so you've got to pay for it again.
Yeah, and sometimes it's better to buy at a higher cost when it's more convenient than buy it cheap just because it's there now.
Yeah, and it's about being smart, because if you see the potential, and I've done quite a few property deals, but I've seen the potential where some of the other people haven't, and that's okay, we can add some extra value here, we can create more flats here, we can do an extension, we can do something else, we can buy a piece of land that a neighbour owns and start talking to them first and add it together, so the sum of the parts is more than the whole, and it works out extremely well. So it's about having that eye for detail and being able to see the potential and the opportunity which other people don't spot. So then you shouldn't in fact mind paying a bit extra, because you can see that the added extra is worth the extra.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a property that's on for, say, £100,000, and you know that once you've done all the work that needs doing to it, or that you want to do to it, or anything like that, and you know that's going to be, and these aren't real figures, these are just for demonstration purposes, it's going to be worth like 200 grand at the end, you've doubled the value. Well, if the seller doesn't accept your first offer, and you end up going to 120,000, and it costs you 50 grand to do all the work on it, you've still only spent 170 grand, it's now worth 200, you're still quids in, so it doesn't matter that you've paid more.
Exactly. So don't look for cheap, look for good value, and good value means there's something in it for you at the end. But unfortunately, people usually starting off the more experienced campaigners, the seasoned campaigner doesn't do this, but people starting out tend to really look for cheap stuff and then realize that cheap doesn't equal good. So you're absolutely right. Look at added value and things that will work out as opposed to cheap. Because everybody wants a bargain, and everybody thinks that they've got to kind of negotiate and haggle for want of a better expression and try and beat someone on the price. That isn't always a smart strategy.
No, I mean negotiation is part and parcel of being within the property industry, being in the property world, but it's good to be a good negotiator. It's better to know when not to negotiate and let, in this terminology, let your opponent win.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've seen the added advantage if somebody else hasn't, and they lose. So
because we're here to play the long game. That
exactly.
A short-term game now could lose the whole thing in the future, whereas a short-term loss now lose the battle to win the war.
Yeah. So a real live example of a property that that I bought last year. The previous owner bought it 3 years ago. They applied for planning for 10 flats, and they got planning for 10 flats, and they sold it to me on the basis of it having planning for 10 flats. So they were making a half decent margin.
Yep.
Which is fine. But I thought, hold on a minute, we can get more than 10 flats here. So I agreed a price with them and bought it on a conditional contract subject to planning and applied for 22 flats, and we got planning for 22 flats.
Yeah, because they had a lot of empty space, didn't they?
Exactly, and had they known that, they'd have applied for 22 flats and added even more value and got even more for it. But you don't know what you don't know, which is something which we've covered in the past. So, it's about recognizing the opportunity. So, having negotiated the price with them, I took that risk and went for something bigger and better, and it worked out because I'd been there before. And if you're working with people who can show you the opportunity, even if you haven't been there before, then you can capitalize. And that's a real live working example of how just because somebody else can't do it doesn't mean you can't.
Yeah, and at some point, I'm sure further down the road, we will share the details of that deal with our listeners.
Absolutely, and we'll obviously make some videos and share those as well in due course.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see the place develop.
Yep, and it's a great tool, listed building, and sometimes people get afraid of, it's a grade 2, grade 1 listed building or building of local interest. That shouldn't scare people off. I mean, you've got to get listed building consent if it's a listed building, but working with a local authority and knowing exactly what you can and can't change opens up more opportunity for you, because most people don't want to touch listed buildings or buildings listed for local interest with a barge pole, and yet if you work on those properties, because there's less competition, you can either get them for a good price, or because most people don't buy them, there's less competition, even if you pay asking price. There's quite a bit you can do with them, which most others won't. But at the end, it ends up being a really nice development, because listed buildings, generally speaking, are really good buildings with some important features. That's why they're listed.
Yep, and they've already stood the test of time. So if you're using a listed building, then you know that building's already been there for a while. It's going to last well into the future, so you've got less to worry about on that front.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that takes us nicely to the second point that I wanted to make, which is where people start in the world of property, they want somehow, and this is not everybody, by the way, but quite a few people think this is some kind of a get-rich-quick scheme. So they want to get rich really quickly because they go on the Times 100 list or wherever they go, and they look at some of the really successful and some of the world's most richest people and think I can get rich very quick. Well, this is a really slow burn and takes a long time. So if you're looking for to get rich really quickly, property probably isn't for you, you know. Go on the stock market and have a gamble. Go into some of the kind of business like tech, or come up with a really good innovative idea, patent it and sell it. But if you're looking to get into property, thinking of getting rich very, very quickly, ain't gonna work unless you got a lot of money behind you. So don't think
but if you've got a lot of money behind you, you're already rich. So you don't need to get rich quick.
Yeah. Good point. So it's just slow and steady wins the race in property. It takes a long time. I always tell people, Warren Buffett didn't become a billionaire at the age of 21. By the time people knew of him, he'd been at it for the best part of 30 years or there or thereabouts.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know the exact time right now, but it took him a long time. A couple of decades, if not 3 decades or more.
He was a 35-year overnight success, wasn't he?
Exactly, but by the time we find out about him, he's successful. People don't look into how long it really took him, you know?
Well, this is very true, and I mean, I don't know if you got round to watching the video that I sent you, but I was looking at how much of a salary do you need to be rich in the UK, and I found that really, really fascinating because, you know, we're talking about, you know, wealth and richness and stuff, and one of the things that this video made me realize is, and pointed out, is to be in the top 25% of earners in the UK, it's something close to £40,000 a year in your salary. In the top, so you are earning more than 75% of the country at that wage. Does that make you rich? And what is rich to you is not necessarily rich to somebody else. It depends on your lifestyle, depends on the amount of wealth you want. And as you say, property is not a get rich quick scheme. It's a business just like any other business, and businesses take time to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole thing about feeling rich or being rich, it's all relative because, as you know, the more people tend to earn, and this doesn't apply to everybody again, and you know, we can't generalize.
Yep.
Is the more one earns, the more one tends to spend. So you buy a bigger house, bigger car, and kids go to private school, and you go on more holidays, and you buy nicer clothes, and all that type of stuff, and expensive watches, whatever people like. You know, we can't cover every single thing here, but it's the law of diminishing returns per se, but not exactly in the sense of the more you spend, the more you're likely. The more you earn, the more you're likely to spend. Therefore, somebody earning 40 grand and somebody earning 70 grand may at the end of the day be saving exactly the same amount because they're both spending in line with their income, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the smart thing to do is if you're earning more, try and keep your lifestyle the same, but save the extra that you're earning and invest it at some point in the future, depending on how you're investing, where you're investing, that's going to start paying you a good dividend, a good return. And then you can afford to earn less, or you can afford to stop working because you've invested and compounded your return.
Exactly that. And it's interesting because a lot of people will, you know, even if they get a marginal pay rise, if you could live on the money you had before, you can, chances are, unless you are spiraling out of control, you can live on the same money continually, and then any extra you can just, that's your new savings pot.
Exactly. And that takes us on to the next point, which is the third point, which is live within your means. So there's a certain formula people can follow in terms of how much money they ought to spend on a mortgage or on rent, on their personal disposable income to be able to save. But unfortunately, what people do, as we just said, is the more they earn, the more they spend. So they don't live within their means, and they don't invest enough. And most people say, I've saved something for a rainy day. How much of a rainy day they've saved for, I don't know, but if a flood comes, as you know, they haven't saved up for that. So living within your means and spending enough just to keep you going and investing the rest is an exceptional disciplined strategy. But I tell you what, it pays a lot of dividends. If you do the numbers over a 20-year period, it's going to be a stark and significant, in fact, it's going to be a gigantic difference between investing £100 a month over 20 years versus investing, say, 500 or £1,000 a month if you've had a pay rise or an increase over 20 years, and then reinvesting whatever additional return you're getting. It's a huge difference, Kieran. I've done that a few times, as you know. And the difference between the figures, and I can't obviously right now run you through the difference between investing £100 a month versus £250 a month. But the difference is gigantic as time goes on.
Yeah, and it just gets bigger and bigger. You end up with a hockey stick style curve on your dividends back on what you invest.
Yeah, exactly. So a bit more pain now for a massive, significant gain in the future versus more gain now in terms of pleasure, but more pain in terms of you increase your working life by another 5, 10, 15 years. Is it worth it? Obviously, everybody's different. My view would be no, because why would you want to work into your 60s, 70s, whatever age you might, because you have to work. Choosing to work because you love it, you enjoy it, and you want to do it, versus having to do it because you can't afford to pay the bills are two very different things. And at the age of, say, in your mid-20s, mid-30s, mid-40s, with you, let's say all things being equal, got more energy and drive to work versus working in your mid-50s, 60s, and 70s are two very different things. And it's having that foresight and the forward planning to think about those things and running some, as you know, my favorite word is spreadsheets, running some spreadsheets to work out those numbers or getting some support to run those spreadsheets. And say, what does £100 per month invested plus the return and reinvested versus £200 versus £300, what does that look like? And once you see the return, it's going to hopefully encourage you to think differently.
Yeah, and this is something that I would advise, just from my experience, everyone to look at is don't not start because you think you're too late.
Right, we've said this before, and it's not you're saying or my saying. The best time to plant a tree was, let's say, 20 to 25 years ago. The second best time is now. So if you start now, irrespective of where you are, it's better than not starting at all.
Exactly.
Some people say, I wish I'd done it when I was 20 or 18 or 25 or whatever. Yeah, that's fine. We can't take you back there, but let's make a start now, and you can be reasonably, I'll use the word ruthless, aggressive, ambitious, whichever word you want to use, and work towards it. You can make up very, very, very quickly if you're eager and enthusiastic.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking to invest things via hindsight, then I'm going back 20 years, and there's a small company 20 years ago called Google. Don't know if you've heard of it. I'd definitely buy some shares in that. Maybe that tiny company called Apple, Coca-Cola, places like that.
Kieran, you're going to be the founder of Facebook. It'll take you back 25, 30 years. or the founder of Amazon or whatever. Do you know what I mean? If you can, but...
Exactly, and that's the thing. You can't look at what has been and what you could have had. You must only look at what is now and what you can have if you start today.
Yeah, exactly. And make the most of it. And you know what? It would be a sad life or world if you said I wish I could go back in the days. That old saying, never regret something which once made you smile. So whatever's happened in the past, if you've enjoyed it, you've enjoyed those times, whether you've spent loads of money on buying designer gear, to having lavish holidays, to buying expensive cars, whatever it might be, if you've enjoyed that at some point, don't regret that. Just move forward with a different outlook.
Yeah, completely agree. You can't drive a car only looking in the rearview mirror. You'll end up crashing into something in front of you.
Yeah, and absolutely. But at the same time, don't just looking at the front view mirror. Also keep an eye on the sat nav and say, what's the overall direction I'm taking, where I'm looking to get to. So have your overall sight on that, and then just think, this is the direction I'm taking. Because if you're looking right in front of you, then you're not looking at where the future is for you, metaphorically speaking. So use the sat nav as much as you can.
And that brings us nicely on to another point is don't go into things half-cocked. Have a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know it's hard for people to think about what do I really want, what's my access strategy, what's life going to look in 5 years' time. You know what? It doesn't matter. Just think about it and think, what's the ideal rich life that you want, a prosperous life, a wealthy life, a successful life that you want, and just map out something, whatever it might look like, and just write stuff down, whether however stupid, silly, ambitious it might sound to you. Just write down what you really want to achieve, okay? And then once you've written it down, you crystallize it, it actually exists because you've written it down, then you can work towards it. No one should tell us what our dreams and ambition and our passion and our drive should be. We should choose that. And no matter how silly it sounds to us, just go for it.
Exactly. I mean, as long as if you're aiming for the stars, but you end up at the moon, you're still further than most other people. And that is all we have time for before
Stay
the break.
tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Are you looking for a career where you can make a difference? At Cross Keys Homes, we work with our local communities to create opportunities that change lives. We're looking for enthusiastic, talented people to join our team, from apprenticeships to senior management positions. Cross Keys Homes can support your development while you enjoy great employee benefits. There are so many opportunities for you to shine. Apply to join the Cross Keys Homes team at crosskeyshomes.co.uk.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers, and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
2020 World Buffet is inspired by the best foods from around the world. See our teppanyaki chefs grill your food to order, or choose delicious Indian, Italian, Chinese, Mexican dishes and British favourites, all halal. 2020 World Buffet offers you unlimited food at a set price. Open 7 days for lunch and dinner. Catering, wedding and party services available too. Call 01733 566 320 or visit 2020buffet.co.uk. 2020 World Buffet, 35 New Road, Peterborough, PE1 1FJ.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Worried your tenants could stop paying their rent during this cost of living crisis? Next Move Estate and Letting Agents are offering landlords 12 months rent in advance. You'll get your rent paid for the whole year in advance. No strings attached. Too good to be true? It really is that simple. So get in touch with us today for this extremely limited offer. Call Next Move now on 01733 641 642 to find out how we can help.
You could be driving, you might be cooking, you could even be working. But whatever you're doing, you're also listening to Salam Radio. And if you're in business, your potential new customers could be listening too. So talk to them and let them know what you have to offer. Advertising on Salam Radio is affordable and effective. And by doing so, you're also supporting this valuable and important voice within the community. Call 07866 319 679 or find Salam Radio online and across social media.
hours a day, 365.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening, and welcome back to the second half of the Property Wise Property Show. I'm your host, Kieron Bateman, and I'm here with Shaz Nawaz. If you've got anything that you want to tell us, or you want to give us your thoughts and views on what we've been discussing tonight, feel free to get in touch with the studio. You can call us on 01733 602 133. You can text us on 07411 191 062, or you can comment on any of our live streams, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. All of these things will come through to us, and we would love to hear from you. And breathe.
Breathing's good for you, Kieran.
So, well, allegedly. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I've been given this advice all my life that breathing is good for me, and frankly, I'm still getting older. I'm still degrading over time. I'm not entirely sure that. I mean, maybe breathing's the cause.
Listen, mate. You're older because you have been breathing. If you weren't breathing, you wouldn't be older.
But then I'd be young forever.
Young and hard. That's what you are.
Oh, well, yes. Growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional.
Yeah. And growing old gracefully.
Disgracefully.
I'm not saying a word.
You've met me then. Fantastic. So, before getting back on topic, since this is the Property Wise show, we should probably talk a bit about property rather than just me getting old.
Good idea, that is.
Well, I mean, before the break, we were talking about things that you shouldn't do when it comes to property investment, property business, and it all kind of ties in together. So this whole show is going to be roughly loosely based around this idea, because some of it is mindset, some of it is actual things not to do, like, as we discussed before the break, not getting overzealous and just buying cheap because it's cheap. Make sure that the deal actually is good and make sure that it stacks up. It doesn't matter if you pay a bit more. If it's a good deal, good is better than cheap. Good is always better than cheap. And that's more of a physical, actual not to do thing is the cheap thing. But the mindset behind that is having that mindset to know the difference between the two when you come to looking at your deals and that side of it, and when you're investing, having that mindset of where you want to end up, following the roadmap, following the plan. That's more mindset-y, as it were, if that makes sense.
It does to me.
Well, if it makes sense to you, it'll probably make sense to everyone listening at home. At least I hope
Sounds
so.
about right. Yep. Well, if I get it, everybody gets it pretty much, I think, because I'm just a plain, simple person, as you know.
Well, I don't think having seen your suits, I don't think I'd ever call you plain.
Don't be fooled by the suits, Kieran. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Oh, I didn't say you weren't simple. I just said not plain.
Cheers, mate.
You're welcome.
I like you.
Really? Oh, what did I do to make you think that?
Well, for like half a second. I liked you for half a second, but that's about it.
That was when we first met, right?
No, that was when I decided that doing a radio show together would be a good idea. And look what happened since.
Yep. Look what happened since. We're still doing the radio show.
Exactly, there you go.
So it can't all be bad, can it?
No.
Well,
on that note, by the way, this is what happens. People meet somewhere, somehow, let's say at a networking event, don't know each other too well, but they're both excited and they come up with heard this wonderful strategy, whatever it might be in terms of property, and they go into business not knowing each other well enough, but they're excited and the enthusiasm, gets the best of them, and they go into business realizing they're not a good fit. So in terms of property, make sure that people that you work with are the right fit for you, and that right fit depends on your own values and what you're looking for and your own criteria that you want. And different people have different criteria. Some people, as for example, just to share a really basic example, Kieran in terms of property is, Some people don't like people coming late, or they want to be punctual. Other people are a bit more relaxed about it, but they want the other person to pull their weight and contribute. Some of the people want them to, contribute money and not time. Some people have certain non-negotiables that they're not willing to let go of. So to be clear on the criteria that you want in your business partner if you decide to go down that particular route. And don't just jump into bed, for want of a better expression, with somebody just you met them at an event, you're both excited, you spent, say, 3, 4, 5 days together, and you both have a similar mindset or you're excited about that strategy, you think it'd be good to do it together because you don't want to do it and you don't want to realize that person is probably the worst person you could have done a deal with.
Yeah, and I mean, that's it. Be careful who you get into bed with. Don't just sleep with anyone, because ultimately you need, like with every relationship, whether it's in business, whether it's personal or anything, the honeymoon period ends. And then you've got to deal with the real person. Because, in my experience, when everything is all new and exciting and everyone's learning about each other and everything, you always put your best foot forwards. But it's always I do this as well, and I'm, you portray yourself as the best version of you, but that's not who you are day in, day out. And
when do I get to see that version of you, Kieron, by the way?
What, the best version of me?
Yeah.
What? Listeners, this is awkward.
On a Sunday?
Maybe
one day. How's that?
Tell you what. How about the 2nd of May, last Tuesday? I don't know when the 2nd of May was a Tuesday, by the way, but
that's good as any other day, mate.
Yeah, when the 2nd of May falls on a Tuesday, that'll be the day. It
can't be raining, yeah.
And it can't be raining, no. And the wind's got to be blowing from east to west.
Yeah. And you've got to be in a good mood, and I've got to be wearing a colourful suit. Yeah?
Yes. These are our non-negotiables, listeners. And as you can see, some non-negotiables for some people are not acceptable to others.
Exactly. Point taken and noted.
I mean, and that's the thing. We can have a laugh and we can have fun with this, but the point is, as you saw very quickly, so some of those criteria were quite onerous, or even completely ridiculous for business partners to agree to. And if you've got into bed with someone and you've agreed to do a deal, and you're doing X, Y, and Z, and they're doing A, B, and C, and suddenly you find out halfway through the project that this person has, no, we didn't discuss this bit, and now they're annoyed and you're annoyed, and suddenly tensions are frayed, and it all goes horribly, horribly wrong very, very quickly. And that is something that you should always bear in mind, is a deal can go south far quicker than it can be completed and go well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like what we talked about before in terms of the beach ball. A beach ball has a few different colors. Let's just say it's got red and blue, okay, alongside other colors. And you're seeing red because you're seeing the part which is red, and I'm seeing blue because I'm seeing the part which is blue. And if I don't believe red exists and you don't believe blue exists, then we ought not to work together because we see things differently. And that's what, 50 Shades of Grey, call it what you like. We have a different perception based on our upbringing, experience, education, nurture, nature, whatever you want to call it. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus, whatever anybody wants to see it as. Okay, you've got to be on the same page to some extent. If you're not,
you better believe it, and I'm an astronaut.
It's a recipe. But it's a recipe for disaster.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many people out there that you are going to find somebody to be on the same page, because the world is full of weird and wonderful people. You know, I mean, look, I found you, Kieran.
Well,
So you know,
exactly that.
Weird and wonderful people do exist.
And you don't get much weirder, I promise you that.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you, Kieran. I knew you were talking about me there.
I was actually talking about myself, but you know, if the shoe fits, Shaz, feel free to wear it.
Are you weird?
You don't notice because you're weird too.
That's the same page. There you go.
Same brand of weirdness.
We proved another point. Yeah. Like means like, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And if you know, there is if you do a bad deal and a deal goes badly because you got into business with the wrong people or people's or person, then that can potentially put you off property for life. It can put you off going into that sector, that business, that model, when it could be an excellent business, an excellent model for you, because you do have the drive, the passion, the need to do that business, but you're not going to now because you got all excited and got into bed with the first person you met that was also excited, and then the honeymoon period ended very, very quickly. And you both realised you needed to go your separate ways, and it all became very, very messy and because you were all excited, you didn't dot the I's and cross the T's, and there weren't all the contractual things in place that should have been in place because you thought, well, this seems like a likeable person, and suddenly disaster. And that would be really, really sad for you as an individual, but for
both parties, sorry to cut across you there, but it's the old adage, isn't it? Once bitten, twice shy. So if you've done it once and it doesn't work, and what do people say? I don't want to do that again because I've had a bad experience, and that one thing, whatever it might be, let's call it X doesn't work, whatever X might be, whether it's property or any of the business or any type of marketing or sales or course or whatever it is, that doesn't work because I've tried it once and it didn't work. But look at the 44 reasons why it didn't work. One of them might be the sector or the type of business. 43 is because you did it in the wrong way.
Yeah, and that's what I would say is kind of to hammer the nail on the head here, is that, you know, be patient with who you want to get into business with, and make sure that you are in business with the sort of person that you want to be in business with, that can handle you at your worst, that you can handle them at their worst, because in business it isn't all plain sailing, I promise you that. And you will have arguments and disagreements, you know, no matter how good of friends you become and how compatible you are, there will be argument. But it's understanding that if you're with the right person, the right business partner, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, which is kind of a paradox, you can take us off on kind of a different kind of track on the same topic, is that people who had a really bad experience with a bad deal, bad business partner, circumstances, whatever the reason might be, we're not going to cover every single thing because we're not looking at exhaustive lists. But those are the ones who do extremely well because they've paid their entry tax, which we talked about previously, Kieran.
Yes.
And they've now learned from those lessons, and they persevere, and they go for it and don't give up. And because they've learned from those lessons and raw bad experiences, and it's cost them money, time, effort, sweat, energy, enthusiasm, call it what you like, but because they haven't given up, the next deal, or the next partnership, or the next the sector type of property strategy that they go into, because they go into it with their eyes open, and they've got experience and a few more grey hair, or loss of hair, call it what you like,
or no hair.
They're not no hair, they tend to do better.
Yeah.
Because they've built that experience. So if things go wrong, that doesn't mean, I mean, avoid them the best that you can, but because they've gone wrong, don't stick to the once bitten, twice shy type of thing. Think about once bitten, how do I avoid ever being bitten again on this particular thing? But use that as a model, so don't get bitten at any point about anything. And this is what we talked about last time, remember? We talked about, I say last time, on a previous episode, we talked about the positive power of negative thinking.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes, yeah, we did. And understanding that it's better to learn from others' mistakes rather than emulate them and rather than copy their mistakes. But ultimately, you can take all the advice you want and you can take it on board and you can utilize it, implement it, initiate with it, get to terms with it, get to grips with it, and make sure that you don't make any of the mistakes from anyone that you've listened to, anyone that's mentored you, anyone that you've worked with previously that has given you advice, all of that. You can make sure that none of those mistakes are made. I still promise you that at some point you will still have to pay your entry tax. You will still make a mistake that costs you money, time, sweat, equity, something like that.
Absolutely, because that's the journey. It's not the destination. It's a bit cliche, but it's not the destination. It's the journey that makes you who you are. So, with all things being equal, the minute you hang your hat up, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, you should think, you know what, I've really enjoyed my journey, you know. And as I say, it's going to be okay at the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end yet. But you just keep going.
Yep. One of my favorite phrases that I've used when some of my friends are going through a hard time is, if you're going through hell, keep going. Why would you stop in hell?
Exactly.
Yeah, and obviously, depending on beliefs and whatever. But as a phrase, I love it.
Absolutely. Anything interesting happening in the world of property at the moment that you've picked up?
I think there's a look. We're looking more and more at the need for housing within the housing market, because there are not enough houses being built in general. And I think that's something that we'll come to in a different episode, in an in-depth look at that sort of thing. But refurb-wise, I think refurbs are going on as they should be, and things are quietening down in the market in general in terms of production costs, cost of materials, and things like that. Because there was a time where getting hold of bricks was hard work, wasn't it, Shaz?
Yeah, I know all about that. And you're right. I think with things being where they are, people thought interest rates would. Some people thought interest rates, and commentators and experts thought interest rates would increase. Where we are, and things not being quite where they ought to be, because they never are, by the way. Interest rate might increase even further going forward in the next 12 to 18 months overall, quarter by quarter. Some quarters yes, some quarters not. Where I think the whole thing might tighten up even more, which means there's more opportunity for those people who are smart and savvy. Because as Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you can see the people who are standing there naked, you know?
Yeah.
So people who are over-leveraged, overexposed, very thin, low margins, that type of stuff, bad deals that are unworkable, I can't add value, all the things we've covered on other episodes, okay? They'll be stuck. So if people are smart about it, there'll be quite a lot of opportunity as the market tightens up due to circumstances which we don't personally control. I think that's one to look out for.
And something that comes up quite a lot when we discuss opportunity of within the market, when things like this happen, it doesn't always necessarily follow that something bad's happened to someone, so we're swooping in to make a profit out of their bad misfortune. Ultimately, if they stay where they are, then things are just going to get worse and worse and worse for them. So the quicker they can get out, the better they are. So you're not just making a margin if you are making a margin on some of these deals at all. Sometimes it takes years for margins to come to fruition. But more realistically, you're helping someone out of a situation that they no longer want to be in.
Yeah, exactly. People have got different reasons to move on, to sell. And we're not to judge, as long as the whole thing works for both parties. It's nobody else's business, is it?
Yeah, and that's something that we do say a lot. It's got to work for both parties, and because I've had people say to me, well, you say about coming in and somebody's got hit rock bottom with their business, and you're taking it off them for a good deal for you, and then is that diminishing their returns, their profit, their margin, what have you? Are they not getting something out of it? It's got to work for both parties.
Absolutely, yes. And what that person gets because they're looking for a quick sale is very different to what they would get if they're looking for a very slow sale. And the reason they're looking for a quick sale is there's some situation in their life on which is partly due to their own choices, whatever it might be, which has led them there. It might not be 100% in their control or their choice, but they've got something to do with it. And if you're really being ruthless, because we're talking about property and property business here, well, whatever their reason is none of our concern.
No, it's ultimately not our business. As long as the deal works for them and they're happy with it, I'm happy.
Exactly.
With it.
Yeah. You ripped somebody off, but no, they wanted money quickly. I had the money, for example, and I paid them quickly because otherwise I would have paid slowly and gone through a different process. And for them to get the money quickly, they were willing to do a discount because they needed it to pay somebody off or whatever the reason might be. They're going through a divorce, or they're about to go bankrupt, or they're looking to leave the country, whatever the reason might be. So they've got that, and for that they're willing to discount the price.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we ripped them off? No, because they've got what they want and they're reasonably happy. Despite being in a bad situation, they're not happy with the situation, they're happy with the fact that they've got something rather than nothing.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, stop. Moral is not ethical and all, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not our business. If you're a property investor or a business owner, you're thinking about what's best for you. Okay? And of course, we don't want to rip somebody off or shortchange them, but your interest is to look after your own business and your own company. That's number one. If you're going to keep that, this is what we covered on a previous episode. As you know, when we looked at stupid people and helpless people and bandits, and those who take advantage of other people who are stupid, and we looked at intelligent people. Well, intelligent people, you'll recall, Kieran, are those who help and benefit others, and in return are able to leverage that and benefit their self-interest.
No, absolutely. There is nothing wrong with that at all. And I think it's also, bringing it round into the mindset side of it, is that their mindset at that point in their journey is where they are happy with what they're doing. They're content to move on to whatever else they want to do with their lives. If they've got other businesses, other ventures, other avenues they want to explore, that is down to them. It's not down to us. But a lot of people, and this is something that I'm going to avoid getting on a soapbox about, but there are people who are getting offended on their behalf, but they have no understanding of the situation they're in. They just see it from an external view and go, oh, you're taking advantage. I'm going to be offended for them, so you must be the bad guy. You must be a terrible human being. But they haven't got all the facts. All they've got is a pair of binoculars from across the road looking at a situation that is nothing to do with them, and they've chosen that they have decided that they should be offended for somebody else, when in actual fact, both parties are happy with the deal, and that's why the deal's going ahead.
Yeah, and coming back to beach balls, seeing red and blue and 50 shades of grey, and it's easy being an armchair critic and pointing fingers at somebody else, but a deal only ever happens if two parties, i.e. buyer and seller, reach some kind of an agreement. And a very competent barrister friend of mine shared with me, I'm not sure if I've talked about this with you either, Kieran, is a good deal. And he said a good deal is when both parties, i.e. buyer and seller, walk away
unhappy.
Feeling unhappy because I could have done a bit better. That's when you know you've got a good deal. If one walks away ecstatic, thinking, oh, I've got a really good bargain, okay, or a really good deal, and the other things have really been royally, you know what? Then it's not a good deal. But if both parties walk away, man, I'm not 100% satisfied or slightly unhappy, I could have done better. That's when you know you got a good deal. It's a fair deal for both. At that time, based on those situations, on those circumstances, and that whatever those two were looking down for it. That's what makes a really good deal. No one should walk away ecstatic, but no one should walk away suicidal either.
No, completely agree. And that brings us around nicely to to the next point of what not to do is don't always go in super heavy-handed with whatever deal you're working on. You know, be prepared to compromise and be prepared to walk away not without 100% of what it was you wanted from the deal in the first place.
Yeah, because nobody gets 100%. So you've got to be flexible on that and compromising a bit, like we said earlier on a different episode. Compromising a bit means you'll get something rather than nothing. And as we've said before, and other people have as well, as cliche as it is,
a little bit of something is better than a lot of nothing.
Nothing, exactly. There you go. You're taking the words out of my mouth.
Well, it would appear that I have clearly worked with you for some time now, so we're starting to think alike. That's a terrifying thought, isn't it?
If I've told you one thing, Kieron, over all those years, I feel quite satisfied.
Well, and on that bombshell, we shall see you all same time, same place next week.
Bye for now.
You're listening to Salam Radio, and it's now time for